up, and welcome to Skill Diff, where we have a show about not only differing skill sets, but differing opinions. Today, I'm honored by my beautiful guest.
It's me, Patrick Holifield, here again. Apparently, this is episode number 10.
We did not just figure that out at all. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about a champion was crowned in the VCT Americas. There was a battle of red teams in Call of Duty. But the first thing, the breaking news of the day, Office has been talking about it, the GOAT of Counter-Strike returns. S1mple is coming to Faze, but is it going to matter?
Is it going to matter for who? S1mple or for Faze?
Both.
For S1mple, I think it may matter. Good to get him a good little showing in here. If he does want to hop back in the league for whatever reason, I think this is a good starting point. Faze obviously have been on the downward spiral. They have not been looking good, which is unfortunate with the roster they have. It's kind of crazy that they're doing so bad. So with Brokey being benched and S1mple coming in, I mean, he still plays the game, but, like, is he going to be ready for that competitive level? Is he going to be ready for the likes of Donk? Is he going to outslay Donk? What about ZywOo, Op v Op? We talked a little bit about that, like 1v1. Who wins now, S1mple or ZywOo in current state? We might get to see it.
This is true. This is true.
You know, we might get to see that on the main stage. So I think it's exciting. I think it definitely, unfortunately, for Brokey, it does seem like it might be an upgrade for Faze. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't been keeping tracks on S1mple since he left the league. But, I mean, with his name comes a lot of power, comes a lot of stardom. So maybe that is what Faze needs to be able to finally break into this top four going into the next one.
I mean, to me, it is a pivotal moment for both of these, this player and this organization. Because you have Faze, who, like you said, they've been on a downward trend. And then, honestly, S1mple's been doing nothing but devaluing his GOAT status since he left the scene. His run at Falcons was nothing short of miserable. He lives an outlandish life at times, and he's a character. It's been interesting. We talked about this recently on he's back, he's in the gym, he's practicing, he's getting ready. But, you know, the underlying thing here is it's a contract year for him. He signed a big deal with Navi a couple years ago. Contract ends at the end of the year. This is maybe his last opportunity to get really loaned out. It's probably a very affordable loan for Faze. But both groups are going to be testing something for, you know, this could be the end of Faze in Counter-Strike. This could also be the end of one of the greatest Counter-Strike players ever. So it's a really interesting intersection that we're coming up on, and I'm hopeful for it because the jerseys are going to sell, the story is going to sell. For the sake of a cool event, I do think this major just got incredible. The last time he filled in a major, he got graffiti on the wall. Like, absolutely insane moment. Hope we get to see something like that again. I think he might be able to, at moments, compete with ZywOo and show us who he was. I'm not sure that's who he is now. I would be more afraid for them to play Donk, though, because Donk is just going to W key at him. It's a play style that nobody is really ready for. He never really got to play in the past, and I don't think there's many players that are like that. So that's going to be the hardest part for me. And then also when you look at the Faze roster, like we had Kerrigan, Rain, Brokey, and Rops. That core was unbelievable, and now we're down Kerrigan and Rain, the last two standing stallions, and it feels like it's the end of an era. Like that Faze roster versus Vitality or versus Strauss back in the day was insane to me, and those are some of the coolest memories in Counter-Strike. So I hope this isn't the final book and the final chapter, but we might be close.
I for sure am ready to see that S1mple v ZywOo and S1mple v Donk matchup in the upcoming tournaments. But speaking of ZywOo, Vitality, yet again, another victory over the Falcons. Once again, this time, it didn't seem as close as it did the first time. But, I mean, how are we feeling about this Vitality? We talked about last time about it being an error, but not an error, but an era of them being a dynasty. So, Vitality going into DreamHack, how are we feeling?
It's interesting because they do feel like they're able to pull it out every time. Like, this one, I think I disagree a little bit. I think it is pretty close, or it was a close final. I think the last match wasn't close. We did get to see their record on Inferno finally get popped. They did end up losing that map, which I would have never picked, to be very clear, versus them. But, I mean, hey, maybe they know something I don't know. So that was really impressive to me, but it's interesting because it makes it boring at times because you expect them to win. You now find yourself pulling for the other teams no matter how much you like them. You just want to see the drama. You want to see the excitement. I still don't feel like we're in that kind of era territory. It does feel like there's a bunch of great players at the time. It does feel like there is one team who has built a functional team, and then there's a bunch of other teams that have 1 to 3 really good players, and then a couple people, often with the name Magic, that don't do so well. So it's interesting. I do think they're the best team right now, but I think they're going to fumble it up coming up. I don't think the record will last too much longer.
You keep saying that, but I'm just going to keep being the polar opposite. I think this matchup against the Falcons this time was just like so much cleaner than it was in Melbourne. I mean, Falcons was able to win on Inferno, that was map 1. So, we're going into that. So, at that time period, I was like, oh, wait, maybe actually this might be the moment. Like, you're taking Inferno. That's a big sting to Vitality. They haven't lost on that map in forever. But then it's just like the same old happens. Dust 2, Falcons won last time. This time, Vitality takes them on Dust 2. Train, not even an easy showing. Easy Vitality win. The kicker for me was Mirage. I thought it was about to be over in a game 4. Because that comeback was insane. It was 12-3 on Mirage. And I know we talked about last time was was it a throw? Was it not a throw? Like, I thought this for sure was about to be the definition of a throw.
Went to OT. That Monacy shot to seal it was that was championship material. But, dude, that was championship material on a map that you had 9 rounds to spare. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy that they allowed them to come back. I mean, and that's the Vitality that's so good right there.
Yep.
That they can, in those situations where you're down 12-3 and you just get your stuff together and you just come back and win. The strat's insane. At that point, it's no longer T-sided, CT-sided, any of that. That's just good, solid teamwork and shot calling from Apex.
I mean, I don't disagree at all. To me, the only interesting thing is the one thing we've been lacking for Vitality versus the S-tier teams is dominance. And I think that what you're saying is 100% correct. They will
the dominance?
Well, I'm saying they will lose a half quite badly, but then they'll win the other half better than the other team won the first half. It's very infrequent that you get to see them against a big team where they just smack them. They have done that to Falcons, but even the Spirit games, those games were relatively close. They did keep Spirit kind of at bay, but those games were close. It wasn't like a beatdown. It wasn't like a blowout. And we've seen them blow out Mals, but they are what they are.
I don't know. I'd argue some of the maps that took Falcons on there would not be considered a blowout, but it's a dominance in and of itself.
I do think moving on to the next topic, though, is going to be about Spirit. Now, we just mentioned they did lose over the weekend. Obviously, they didn't even make the finals. They've not been in a final since they won the Blast Bounty Open in January. And this is coming from a roster that, when you look at last year, was arguably the best team in the world. They were winning everything, on top of the world, securing major victories, everything, right? And now you can't even get back to a final. Is this a concern? Are you concerned now with the Spirit roster, or are you give it a little bit more time?
I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, not winning a tournament in that long of a time period with the star power that you have on your team, it's not looking too good. You got a couple, like we said, teams are built around a couple good people and a couple start with an M that aren't performing. Spirit might have that problem as well. But no, Donk, I think he gets a little too emotional. Sure. I think obviously he is a great player. There's no denying that. But he gets on the stage, and if they start going down or things start not going their way, my man's getting angry. He's getting upset. It's visible. I'm sure that doesn't help the team chemistry at all. You got your star player is yelling at you, being all mad, upset. I think they're still a great team, though. Do they need to make some adjustments? It's debatable that maybe a couple people maybe need to be switched out. But at the end of the day, they are still a great team, and I think a lot of people are overlooking them because of their bad performances. I think going into these later tournaments, they are going to rejuvenate themselves a little bit better because Donk wants to win. He's hungry. He's young. He's hungry. He wants that win. Yep. I'm sure they're going to get their stuff together, maybe a little bit better calls, do a little bit better performance. Easily, they're up there in that top 3 contender with Falcons and with Vitality. No problem.
I do think they got a slam dunk tournament coming up. They should be able to take. Then they're going to have a few more exciting ones right before we roll into the major. It's very exciting because, like you said, Donk said something recently that to me as a competitor I absolutely love, and it's that I would play in every single tournament, but I have 4 teammates and they don't want to do that, and I'm on a team, so at the end of the day we can't. And it's that is the ultimate, hey, dude, I want to play. I'm young. I've got it right now. It's never going to get any better. Screw these breaks, screw this mental health nonsense, dude. Everyone, I want it. But you see that emotion from him, and that works successfully and that works unsuccessfully. It goes in both directions. It's really hard to control, but I would rather see somebody bleed that passion than somebody who doesn't. Somebody who is it's okay, we're losing, and we'll try hard next time. So I do really value that ability. To me, Spirit is doing one thing and one thing only right now, and that is weighing their options and what they're going to do with Kiyosuke. And whether that's going to be coming to the Spirit roster or whether they're going to be sold to the Falcons roster or whatever move they're going to make. But I think they're in a big holding pattern right now because if you make a move and you go in that direction, you're going to get arguably a top 5 player in the world effective immediately, and that may solve all of your problems. Because we know it's not Donk, we know it's not Shiro. I think Chopper makes pretty good calls, but then there's 2 more slots that are variable at times. And sometimes, as much crap as we give Magic, and sometimes Kid balls, does great things. And can be a weird all-site fun lurk and have a great time. But then other times, you'll get 3 kills in a map. And you're like, what are you doing, man? So it's so hard to watch that consistently. So my only concern is how quickly do they make the move? Because I know they're about to make the move. They're sitting on one of the greatest talents in Counter-Strike. They're just not pulling the trigger.
Yep, I think that there is great things in the future for Spirit for sure. And that takes us on to our next segment, which is the Teardown, which we're going to be talking about the exciting new game, Expedition 33, that just came out. This game, from a creator at Ubisoft.
Yep.
Left Ubisoft, that great company.
Beloved.
With a bunch of junior devs to make this game right now. The budget, not known, but it's estimated between 5 to 10 million. Which is 15% less than the standard. It sold over 1 million copies in 3 days. And it's also on Game Pass and still got that many sales.
100%, yeah.
And Ubisoft, man, what's up with them?
Totally, and just to clarify, it's 15% of, I think, total cost. I think the average game is over 40 million right now. So that shoestring budget is obviously 5 million is a significant sum of money.
Yes.
But in the game development sphere, I mean, you got...
That's pennies.
Yeah, exactly. GTA's about to be a couple billy.
Oh, goodness.
We're not even in percentage realm here. To me, it's beyond impressive of what you can do. And they also are selling the game at $50. It's not a AAA title in your normal 60 or if you're Nintendo, 80 or 90 bucks now. So that's really, really impressive to me. And my hat's off to them. I mean, there's actually a quote from the French president Macron that says, "This is a shining example of the creativity and audacity and authenticity of the French people." I think it's incredible, man. To be sitting at your day job and think, man, we're not doing cool enough things. And Ubisoft, as much crap as we get them, they do some really cool projects. They have made incredibly cool, fun, unique story games. They might not play well. They might have bugs. They might have weird systems. But from a direction standpoint, they do fun and unique things. And to be sitting there and be like, this isn't enough. This isn't good enough. I'm going to go do something else. And then to make the game they've made is unbelievable. I mean, every bit of reception you've seen on the game, there's been no drama, no bad blood, no bad anything. The only net negative is, why did this take so long to get here? And why did we not know that we needed this? Because it's effectively a spiritual successor to Final Fantasy. And, all in all, it's been an incredibly good and successful game. And to come from somebody being bored at the office is unbelievably unprecedented. And I think it speaks volumes to, how do you allow people within your companies to become more successful and how do you promote their creativity? Because if this is a thing at Ubisoft where he comes to you and says, hey, I have this really cool idea, I want to do this. And they're like, nah, go back to making Assassin's Creed 29 cool. Mm-hmm. And that's probably what happened, but...
Yeah, that is probably what happened. And that's the sad thing, too, is how many times did he probably bring this up to the Ubisoft execs or the producers or whatever, that he has this idea for this game, and they were just like, I can already see it now. How can we monetize this? Yep. How can we put microtransactions in this game? Turn-based? Nobody plays turn-based anymore.
Sure.
We're not making money off that. I love the game. I've been playing it personally, and for the budget, I think this is what surprises me the most. 5 to 10 estimated million budget, and the game looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
The character models are great. The art that they've created, the lore of the world and the different places you visit is so... It's one of those things that you can't really explain. You just have to visually see it, and you just look at it and you're like, wow, this is a thing of beauty that they have created. And it's kind of insane, and the talent they got for all the voice actors, all great. On such a limited budget is what all makes it. And for $50, I think this is the age in gaming for indie devs. A lot of indie games are popping off. People are hating on the AAA, especially Ubisoft, for example. And also the fact that it sold so many copies yet being on Game Pass.
Sure.
Because I always feel like that's another big thing that you hear people say about Game Pass.
Play it for free.
Yeah, so I got to play it for free, and then the company makes no money, and thus they go under, and you need to support the games. It's well, people are supporting it. I mean, they're buying this. They could have played it for $10, but they'd rather pay the $50. A lot of people love to support their companies. And the fact that Ubisoft let this guy go, And this could have
Generational
been,
mistake.
this could have been Ubisoft's money they're
Yeah.
racking in. And that, dude, after looking at their value, it's something they probably desperately needed.
I also think there's no way that this comes out in this condition, this way at Ubisoft right now, and I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
true for a
probably
lot.
true as
I think
well.
that's true for a lot of studios, and that's no hate to big studios, but there's a lot of value in being young, small, and scrappy in terms of the game that is entrepreneurship and business. Right? I think this is the ultimate like gap in the market, if you will, of there's a weird middle ground between you have GTA 6 is literally going to cost a couple $1 billion, and then you have a game like Super Meat Boy or Stardew Valley or something like that that's made by like one guy in a bedroom, maybe with some Fiverr assets. The middle feels very distant because there's a lot of games that are really good in the middle. Like I would even say like games that were still AAA games, but probably belong in the middle, or like a Little Big Planet, something that's not crazy massive, but how really different is Little Big Planet from Super Meat Boy? I mean, Super Meat Boy is artistically and, the audiences are very different, but they're both platformers. They're both fun. They both have unique movements. Same thing with like games like Casual Crashers. It's like that middle feels so strong and powerful. And like, I think this game could almost act as a AAA game. I think it still falls a little bit short of a Final Fantasy. It still falls a little bit short of some of those big games in terms of things where they're spending budget. Like when you play Diablo, the cutscenes in Diablo are like unbelievably beautiful. And that's what happens when you spend $100 million plus, right? Mm-hmm. And this doesn't need that though, right? And it's like same thing when you play Stardew Valley. I don't need a $100 million cutscene. I'm playing an 8-bit game, but it's really exciting to see people kind of target this middle market where it's like, hey, you're an independent developer doing something moonlighting in the afternoon. To hey, $5 million is still a ton of money to raise, but dude, you can do something incredible. This game is on path to probably win Game of the Year. They've made so much money off the game, it's for sure going to help fund the studio to be able to do other projects. And I really hope this creates a culture of like, hey, anyone within his company, I would feel the most confident to be like, hey, I have another idea. Can we try something completely different? This is probably the group where you're going to start getting to see like really fun and unique and different ideas, because the idea that they created or came up with isn't unique. It isn't proprietary to them. It's a turn-based game. It's a little bit different than Final Fantasy, but it's something that any one of us can sit here and say, hey, this game would be better if we added this and that and this. And they literally just made it. So hats off to them. Incredible job.
Yeah, I think you get slighting them a little bit there with that. They have some pretty unique mechanics and stuff that are just to them that make it a lot different.
100%. It's just all value adds, though.
Sure. But, I mean, Final Fantasy, great game. That, great game. Turn-based, a lot of people don't like turn-based. Sure. That's why, to me, something like this is always so fun, because it's like, games like this don't normally get their time in the spotlight.
Totally.
So for this company to be able to manage to do that, to me, I like to compare them a little bit to Larian Studios or Baldur's Gate 3. Like another game that is, people like XCOM and games similar to that nature, but it's like you don't normally hear about them. So it's great that these two companies like that are small can come up with such great ideas and show the world that, hey, sometimes all you need is a good idea. Spend time on it. Don't rush it. Make some good game mechanics. Yeah. Boom, there you go. There's $10 million plus easily made. Just
100%.
like that.
And way less frustrating than when I play XCOM, because that game makes me so angry. Can't handle it.
Oh, goodness.
So moving on to the next thing, we're going to roll into the beautiful land of maybe the greatest esports there is, right? It's Call of Duty.
That's right, Call of Duty, everybody's favorite.
And let's just say there's not currently wildfires in LA. But there is in 100 Thieves' office. And, man, does not look good. You just came off a major win, and you go 0-2 to start the season. You lose a close game to the Heretics, but then you get smoked by the Faze.
No.
So I know you just came off a major win. We're about 7 days removed from that right now. But are you panicking? Are you a LA Thieves fan? You already trading in the jersey, getting a different color? Like, what's up?
Nah. Dude, it's online qualifiers. And now, granted, LA Thieves are supposedly the online goats. They can't compete on the land, but they can compete on the online. I know if you're Nate Shot, you're probably sweating a little bit because
there's a meme going around with him in a mirror, right?
Yeah, because like not only you're losing over in CDL, you're not going to Toronto with your VCT team. League, questionable there. Like, where's the 100 Thieves doing right now besides losing? It's a good question. For me though, it's like Faze. I think they needed that. After the last showing that they did at Major 3, like, they come and doing this to LA, that just seems like the same old, same old. People were doubting them, saying they was just like, oh, they're just throwing on purpose, testing maps they're bad at. Like, they're not trying. But the Miami one, yeah, that one's a little unacceptable.
A little stinky.
It's a little sticky that you're going to lose that one. But to Miami's credit, Super played out of his mind. I wrote down he had a 3.11 search and destroy KD. 16-4 on Rewind and 12-5 on Hacienda.
That's a good day.
He completely rolled them.
Yep.
That's like a solo roll style.
Totally.
It's crazy. It's a 1.31 overall for the entire series. And unfortunately for LA, Envoy just couldn't keep up. My man, unfortunately, was not able to pull out his weight. But like I said, Super was doing really well. Renkor, I probably pronounced that totally wrong. Right there with Super, closing it up, allowing them to be able to pinch in that last search and destroy, because it was a close one.
It was.
And the fact that you got Super doing that I think that's the main reason why they won. So I can't slight LA a lot for that. Obviously, scrapping them could have done a lot better, but like, it's online. You barely lost. Super was popping off this day. You know, GG, go next. We're still going to champs.
It's true.
That's guaranteed.
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 Yeah, I think the Miami one is a typical Thieves loss. Like, it's a close series versus a decent team that feels losable. And that's why, like, for me, when I look at them, they're definitely in the 2 through 5 window, for sure. Like, that's absolutely where they belong. But it's just another reminder of, like, the Atlanta Faze are the Atlanta Faze. When they want to show up, they show up. When they're there, they're there. And that's point blank, period. Nobody touches them. Leave their own. But then 100 Thieves, it's at times you feel like they're absolutely the second best team in the world. They can beat Faze. They can beat anybody. And then at times, if they lost to Boston Breach in the first round of a major, you'd be like, well, it is what it is. And it just feels like we got one of those is what it is weekends. I do think, as much as they don't want to admit it, if they are serious and want to win champs this year, Nade Shot, dude, make a change, bro. Like, you got to. Get Envoy out. There's a lot of good players out of there. I don't know, Mercules, right? Probably an upgrade. It's crazy what he did for the Ultra. You just got to do something, because right now there's nothing that can convince me that they're a favorite going into Worlds or going into COD Champs in a couple months. And then not only that, that they can run a gauntlet versus good teams. Because when you get there, the bottom 4 are going to be deleted. You're getting rid of playing the Gentlemates. You're not going to be playing these, like, at best has-beens. Instead, you're going to be playing Rokkr, or you're going to be playing the Ultra, you're going to be playing Surge, you're going to be playing Heretics. Then you're going to have to deal with Faze. And I just don't think right now you have enough confidence in that roster.
Yeah, they definitely, I guess, in terms, you put it that way, they have been looking a little weak. You know, Envoy is a great player. It's one of those things that, do you stick out or do you not stick out with your roster? Because Optic, they chose to stick out with their new roster.
Questionably.
And hey, it must be for the better, because they got an amazing win over the Surge, unprecedented. Didn't see that one coming. That's a top 3 team. So, and then the Rokkr also threw. So we're gonna play this nice little game of which is more impressive. Okay, is it more impressive that Optic was able to beat the Surge, or that Rokkr could throw another game?
I'm gonna go with the Kenny chokes again, solely on the pretense of we know how good Optic is. They can win. They should win. Their team is so unbelievably talented. Minnesota, on the other side, they're a good team. I think Kenny makes them a very competitive group. But you cannot lose those. Like, it is, if you are going to take this 8 slot in the playoffs and you are going to continue moving forward, every game is a playoff game. Every game matters with the most intensity. And it just didn't feel like this one did. I think that Pred is still playing for Optic in some capacity, trying to get a little spoiler action in there. Played incredibly good in the series. XNIT, obviously incredible. But if you're Minnesota, you just can't let this happen. Like, you've got to step up. I do understand that the roster is scary that you're playing, but if you want to make top 8, like, it's getting pretty do or die. I mean, they've got a few points to spare right now, but you really need to win probably 3 here, and then you really need to get at least 2 wins going into the final Major 4. So, to me, more impressive that Minnesota's throwing such an insane map. Nothing Optic does impresses me anymore, in the good way or the bad way. So it's just numb to it.
For the Rokkr, it's kind of funny for me, because for me, it was like the Falcons and Vitality thing of, like, after map 1, it's like, how could you lose that? That 250 to 81 on the hard point, that's a blowout. We almost got more points than them of that team, okay?
Not bring this up.
Just go quick little throw in right there. Almost though, almost. But for me, as much as like I've always been on the Optic A train, I think it's more impressive that Optic beat the Surge.
Sure.
The Surge, who have been looking hot, are constantly touted as the 3rd or 4th team, picking up Neptune, doing great. And then Optic just coming in and swooping them. It's just kind of crazy. I know it's online, but online, they shine. It's not like they do bad or worse on online. Excuse me. Everybody on that team stepped up. Everybody performed.
Even Caesar.
Yep, they all performed. And I think it's great because, like, you know, they're 8th right now in points. Obviously, chances coming up. There's not many matches left. And so taking out the Surge, that's looking good. And the Rokkr throwing, it's looking good. We're cementing chances here. In their upcoming matches, they got Breach, Boston Breach. Winnable. Carolina Royal Ravens.
Should be winnable.
Should be. It is online, so we'll see how that goes. Lagmates, I hope they don't lose. So it's like, and then Ultra. That one's gonna be a tough one.
Could you think of a more fitting in for Optic season versus the Lagmates throwing that one? That would be
honestly, it would be. That would be pretty hilarious.
Woo, cherry on top.
And then the Rokkrs winning, and they lose champs, and it all comes down to that. That'd be crazy. If the points could align that way, that would be fantastic. But it's like the rest of the upcoming matches, it's like it's doable now. It's doable. With that win, they should be able to win some of these games and solidify that 8 points in champs. Because like we talked about before, if they're not at champs, where are the viewers? We need them there.
100%.
We need this to be as hype as possible, so they need to secure that 8th place, and it's looking good for them right now.
I agree 100%. Need them at champs. Worst case, they don't make it. Get rid of the whole broadcast team. I Puckett, Maven, all you guys, Shift. I adore all of you. But it's got to be the Scum Show. He's got to host it. Like, at this point, that's the only way, right?
Okay, so we have another fun game. We're sticking to the games today.
We're making this more PG for everyone at home.
Yes.
We're going to call this Bed, Wed, Behead. There's another version of this. You might know what it is. We're just not going to say that for the sake of YouTube. But we're going to Bed, Wed, Behead the current 2-0 teams in the CDL. Over the weekend, we had 3 teams get 2-0. Toronto Ultra, Atlanta Faze, and the Miami Heretics. Who are you taking?
Okay, so I guess where we want to start out. I think we'll start out with a lay or bed, but whichever version you want to say. For me, that's the Ultra.
Okay,
I think they're a good quick lay. I think they're a good team. They're not somebody I necessarily want to be with for the long haul. But like if you're looking for a quick win, Ultra's right there. Beans and crew got you locked in, and the Bays. Faze, obviously. The #1 team didn't have the best showing, but like if you're looking for a team that's going to be there through the end, they got you back no matter what. Guaranteed bet. And that unfortunately leaves the Heretics for a slay. I think the Heretics are on the heater right now, that's for sure. They definitely been doing a lot better. That pick up a super, which I just talked about against LA. Fantastic showing, but I mean, I could foresee them dropping off easy going on. So that's a quick, just eliminate them. Leave me these other 2, and we're going to have a good time.
So for me, pretty similar. I'm going to Heretics, at the end of the day, you got to go. Like, I think you're good. I'd still think Surge are probably a little bit better. I think that LAT win might have been a little bit favorable, kind of happened. Super had a great day. Their consistency is always the biggest question for them. So that's why I think they're going to be the one kind of getting nixed. I think the one you got to keep forever, the Wed here, I'm going Ultra. For me, it's fun. They're spicy. There's a lot of variance there. I also think their potential is exciting. And to me, it's like that story at Champs sells. That is the cool path. I think Beans is far more exciting. Faze have consistently been good. They've consistently been there, but they've also consistently been choke artists when it matters. I mean, we even saw Major 3. They blew out. Nowhere to be saying, right? So I think that, I think Faze is good for a weekend. They're good for a short time. I don't know if they're good for a long time. We'll see in Champs. I honestly think that it's probably more probable that the Champs winner isn't in this group than that it is. But yeah, I think fun little segment. I'm curious to know who's going to be undefeated. All their schedules coming up are going to be exciting. All the matches that are queued up are going to be really, really good. I think Ultra's got a little bit more of a favorable run, but hopefully these teams find each other in the finals of Major 4 and we get a better interpretation going into Champs.
I find it funny that you want to go with the more spicy as the long term.
Yeah, you got to get
Tells me a
excitement in your
lot
life.
about your real life situations.
That's why I'm here with you.
All right, now we're actually for real going to be moving on to everybody's favorite shooter, the best in the world.
Back to Counter-Strike?
No sirree. We're going to the VCT. No tech pauses this time, baby.
Are you
sure?
sure?
At least not on this show. Okay. So G2 coming off win. Something that no other Americas team has been able to do, which is back-to-back stage wins. Yep. They won kickoff. They won stage 1. G2, reverse, run through the gauntlet on this tournament here after a disappointing loss to Sentinels.
Got the revenge.
Yeah. How we feeling about this G2 reverse wins here going in?
I think it's impressive. Yeah, I think it's impressive. I kind of had them winning it both ways. Well, I had them winning it through the losers, but playing a different team, which we won't talk about where that team's at.
I'm sure we will.
I think they're sitting at home with us right now, honestly, but I digress. But so I had them there anyway. I think they're the best team in America right now. They consistently, like I've continued to iterate, I think at times they don't play the best as a team. I think they do have far and away the best star power. It's weird. It's basically like we have Vitality and Counter-Strike that's like this dominant, perfect unison, body moving in perfect fluidity together. And then you have this G2 roster that is the definition of brute force, where it's just like Trent and others just smacking everybody. I do think it's interesting that one of the things I wrote down is John Cutie is literally the highest plus minus on Sentinels for this final match. And I also felt that the ending of it could not have been more indicative of the event. It ended up being a 4v2 last point, Omen smoke, you come through, you lose a 4v2 for the final round. That just felt like it summed up Sentinel series to me. Because, dude, Trent was absolutely on fire. 7 of 20 total 2K kills. Just insane. Just hard carry. Anytime you needed him, absolutely was there. And there was almost the throw in the Pearl, the game 3 on Sentinels, and that's where it's like, it feels almost like Vitality. They're down an insurmountable amount. What are they going to do? They won 7 of the next 8 after getting anti-eco, because Sentinels, the first half of that Pearl, were just popping off. They lose the pistol, or G2 wins the pistol, Sentinels loses it, anti-eco them, and you're like, oh no, it's over. It's 2 rounds, done. But then all of a sudden you have G2 just rip 7 of 8. They don't win that map, but it's like, that just shows like, dude, this team is like, when they need people to pop off, you need 2, 3, 4Ks. Like, they got it in the bag all day, and I don't know. It's going to be hard to beat them. I think the rest of the world is same spot it was before of who can beat G2, but they didn't get it done last time. Hope they get it done in Toronto. Would love to see America sneak a win in there, but
it feels good to hear you singing a different tune. I feel like earlier episode 1 or so, it's like America ain't winning anything. That's okay. I'm glad you're on board. It feels good to be on the American hype train.
We'll get to the MIBR nonsense in a minute.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, G2, fantastic team. We'll get a little bit of glazing on Trent. We'll get that out of the way. For one, I just want to say this man has played Tejo 30 maps in a row. He has played no other agent, just Tejo.
Sure.
What does that say?
Champs busted.
That's exactly, hey, and they're taking full advantage.
The question is, will the nerf happen before Masters? That's the real question.
It has been confirmed. It will. The nerf is going in. So G2 might not be as strong as Toronto. I don't know. No, Trent's a good player. He don't need Tejo. Tejo does allow him to be able to get a little bit extra just because of the utility, but, I mean, he still shoots. And a couple of those matches where they almost lost, not against Sentinels, well, including the one they did lose against Sentinels and the one they almost lost against 100T, like Trent, he just wasn't having the best of games. He was missing shots and stuff, and then you could see the cracks in G2. They're all most of them were not playing good, but I'll give him his glaze. All right, 73 and 51 for the whole series, pretty good. Okay, most 22 Ks. My boy had 22 Ks in that series, 3 Ks and 4 1v1 wins. Like, as your Sentinels, like, that's crucial stuff. Like, if this man, and he's an initiator, so he's not going in first blood.
Shouldn't be alive.
Yeah, so it's like he's going to stay alive. Now, he's staying back, he's sitting back, and you're going to constantly lose your 1v1s to him, you're cooked. You might as well just pack up and go home. Like the Pearl, ridiculous. Like you can't give G2 an inch. You give them an inch, they're taking a mile. So like even the Ascent, whenever they did win up 10-2, coming back, it don't matter. They're in there. They're just all looking strong now. Jajimo's been looking better. He had a little bit of underperformance in some of those games. Lee's been dominating compared to his performance in Bangkok. I think they're definitely, even with these nerfs and changes, they do get the bye going into it, so it's going to look better for them to be able to watch and see what other teams may be cooking up, and it'll give them a little bit more time, so they're in no trouble.
Yeah. Speaking of teams in trouble, though, we've got MIBR. Did they come into this overhyped, or did they underwhelm everybody with their performance?
I think this is going to really depend on who you ask, because some people in this office, they're just going to tell you they underperform because, you know, they're big. They were big team MIBR. I think I remember another show in the GGN network. I can't quite remember its name, but they were big MIBR fans talking about they were going to win this and win that. And, you know, honestly, MIBR, I think, are a little overhyped. Ospas, I give the man credit where it's due. He's a fantastic duelist. He's been around for a long time. His stats are incredible. He's still performing to this day, but he's got a little bit of inconsistency problems.
Sure.
And unfortunately, with the team he's on, which has 3 rookies, and I'm not gonna, like, they're a great team, right? 3 rookies getting this far is incredible. I don't want to like overshine that. Like, good for them, but like the way it suits their team now is if Ospas isn't popping off and carrying you, your team's not doing good, unfortunately. Cortesia just didn't have a good showing. Before in the stages, this man was popping off. He was going like plus 15, plus 20 in a lot of series. But then you get up here against the bigger dogs like G2 and Sentinels, they're kind of making a little bit of a mockery of them in some situations. And I think they definitely are a team that can compete on the international stage, but they're sitting beautifully in that 3rd spot, which I predicted them to be in, because they're not better than Sentinels. They're not better than G2. I would argue they're not better than 100 Thieves, but like I don't want to get into the weeds with anybody, okay? But definitely overhyped and underperformed. It's a duo for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think that they were fortunate they got to play crew. I think we didn't know which of those 2 teams was the imposter in that situation. It was crew. That's fine. But so it's tough because when you look forward, it's what do you do with that roster? You got 3 kids you're trying to train up. I mean, they're obviously adults, but they're rookies in the grand scheme. So do you ride it out with the 3? You know, do you stick with your veteran leader through his inconsistencies? I do think a lot of teams, G2 is going to be probably the most negatively afflicted by the Tahoe nerf. So it could kind of shift the meta a little bit in a way that might favor them, might favor a little bit more duelist action in that context. We'll at least see some champ variety from some people named Trent. If he doesn't, that would be unbelievable. But so moving forward, I don't know. I'm curious to see how they're going to do. I think playing early in the event is going to help them. I actually do think it's going to hurt G2 a little bit. I think when you're cold, it's really hard to get restarted. So getting a couple early matches in the early stages probably can help. So I actually think they might make a sneaky little run in the Masters. But next season, we'll have to see. Because the next thing we want to cover is going to be the groups. And whew.
Yeah. Speaking of the groups, obviously at the end of the finals, they do the group drawings for stage 2 for after Toronto's. And like, I'm just going to be on your train for a second here before we get started on this. This format that Riot's got going on, man, they make things so complicated for no reason whatsoever. It's just insane. But anyway, after the complication that was the group drawings and switching of teams to one side or the other, we got the new brackets. All right.
Feels lopsided.
How do you feel about those brackets? Feeling good?
I feel like one bracket is basically the varsity teams, and I feel like the other bracket might be the junior varsity teams. Because on one side, you have Cloud9, EG, 2G, and Furia. And you're thinking, oh, that's a pretty reasonable scale. They also have Sentinels and G2 over there, just to cap off the top. And then the other side, now that Leviathan doesn't have Demon 1 anymore, you've got multiple rosters on the other side of the equation that are incomplete. We don't know what's going to happen yet. So it feels like you have a set of locked and loaded killers, and the other side's trying to figure out who's even going to be playing for them. It feels very odd. It does not feel balanced. If you're, again, C9, EG, 2G, or Furia, you're like, dude, Why do you hate us? Like, we probably all individually have a chance of winning the other one, but this one we have to go against the top 2 teams in America. It doesn't feel equitable at times, and to your point on the right side, it's weird. They do a lot of this stuff where, it just feels like it should be Swiss at times. It feels like it should be, there's basic concepts. I totally get trying things out, but that's why I'm a huge proponent of let other tournament providers come up with formats and test things. You are a great game designer. You might not be a great esports company. And this is another one of those moments where you're like, it just feels weird. Because right now, like, you could argue that half the teams aren't going to make it out of that. 100 Thieves, who's on the other side, may have just been gifted a chance to Worlds. And then if they're in the other bracket, then there's no chance they make it out. So it's very weird. It's going to make things like power rankings, other things very odd, because you might have everyone be good on one side and bad on the other, and it just feels odd. Don't love it. Riot continues to impress me for all the wrong reasons.
That is the truth, yeah. The groups are definitely very shocking. And what's funny is how, like, typically Riot is very, like, let's keep regions versus regions. We don't want a lot of the same regions in the same thing because we don't want to create, like, oh, we're showing some sort of favoritism or this region has it easier or whatever.
Crew,
but it's
MIBR,
like,
Loud.
Crew, MIBR, Lev, and Loud, all teams that are not part of the North American circuit, all in one group stage.
Yep.
And then on the other side, there's Furia. And actually, 2G, I'm not actually certain 100% on where their origins of their team is. Funny enough. But it's like, you got all these people from this region all in one fighting against each other. And let's be real. That one, 100 Thieves did catch a break.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like you
It'll
put
be a
100 Thieves,
generational failure
you
for
switch 100T and C9, not looking good. Like 100 Thieves stays on this side, but they do switch. 100 Thieves, probably, it depends on how they want to do it, if they're going to take 2 or 3 out for the playoffs. If they're taking 3 out, 100 Thieves easy, because I don't think, unless Lev picks up big names or a new players that are just going to help them, they're looking pretty weak. NRG looking weak. Loud, they didn't win a game.
They didn't win a game, but they won a lot of rounds. Actually,
They did.
I actually think low-key, they're probably T2 coming out of that side.
Which is kind of surprising. And maybe with the new groups here, maybe they will be able to do a little bit better. But it's like, yeah, MIBR Crew and 100 Thieves look good. On the other side, Sentinels and G2, you're like dooming either like Cloud9 or EG. It's like a battle between them. And Cloud9, who usually is very good in the stages and chokes in the playoffs, as where EG was like the opposite of pretty mid in the stages and then actually was clutching in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's like, for them, EG maybe might not be able to make it now. And Ye actually made a tweet and he talked about like why they didn't do their standings and stuff based off of playoffs. They don't include it. It's just their stage rankings, not their playoffs. So that in turn hurt EG a little bit more and favors the likes of like Cloud9 because then they get swapped up. All in all, I think this group is like we got America on one side pretty much and we got the South America on the other side with a little bit of mix and matches in between. And let's battle it out and see who goes to playoffs again. But yeah, it's a little bit goofy this time around.
For sure. Moving on to the best segment of the day, buy or sell.
Yes, all right. And so first, we're going to start buy or sell with a game that just got done with this Tech Test 2, a new extraction shooter, Arc Raiders.
Yep.
Came out of nowhere, at least for me. I'd seen a little bit of things about it, but not a lot. And played the tech test, and it was fantastic. And, you know, we got to compare this to the #1 extraction shooter on the market at the moment.
For now.
Which, maybe for now. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, which is Tarkov. Of all the extraction shooters we've seen, we've had Marathon come out, we got Delta Force, we got the tech test for this. Like, what is the best one to compete with Tarkov right now? Is it the Arc Raiders?
Yeah, if I'm buying or selling, this is the #1 Tarkov competitor. That's an auto buy for me. Tech test was really good. You and I played a little bit with some of the other guys here in the office, and honestly, probably the most fun time I've had in any Alpha State game probably since Arc, and that's been 5-10 years ago at this point. There was so much to that for that to be a play test. Like, that was insanely deep, felt really good. Combat was really nice. Every single time you dropped in was exciting and fun and different. We had, I think, one where we didn't have player-based engagement. And that was, like, I think my first one. Other than that, like, we were usually fighting multiple squads, we would usually only have a few of us make it out. But it was always fun. Like, it was a really exciting, unique time. And, like, I don't know, big, huge props to them for kind of keeping it, under wraps for such a long time. And then, honestly, right now, if they release, this would be, where Tarkov started to where it is now. This is a good percentage into its entire dev state already. Like, it's way better than Tarkov was at launch. It seems way better than Marathon. It's not even close. I think Delta Force does have some cool stuff. So, I mean, I think that's somewhere in the middle. But this definitely number one competitor.
Yeah, for me, it's BI the same way. It's BI as them being the number one competitor. It is a lot of fun. I'm actually really hyped because it's third person. I feel like third person games don't get a lot of love anymore, so it's great to see those coming out. And yeah, the playtest was fun. A lot of cool things. I love a lot of the animations. It's really polished. That's what surprised me the most. For a tech test, it's like this was really polished. And like you said, if you release this today, I got no problem paying 50, 60, 70 bucks or whatever for this title. Definitely worth it.
100%. Next thing we want to buy or sell is the biggest maybe ever fighting tournament just happened in Karibi, Japan. It is a Colo ended up winning. 2,500 people whittled down to one in a weekend-based tournament. You buying or selling? This is the new wave of esports. Massive tournaments, bringing players back out. Huge stuff.
Sale. All right, this may come as a surprise to some, but if anybody knows me, this ain't a surprise. Boy, I bet that tournament was smelly. I tell you what, it was probably stinking in there. I'm not a fan of fighting games. I think fighting games are cool. It's cool for them. And for him to be able to, like, whittle down that many people and win, don't get me wrong. Fantastic. Great on him. He would beat me in any fighting game, known the man. But it's like, Smash, dude, I'm so sick of this game, dude. I don't want to talk about Nintendo. Good for them. They don't get no prize money because Japan.
It is weird.
I'm done with that.
Yeah, I'm actually buying it. I think going back to the LANs, large-scale events, and all that stuff is really, really fun, unique, and different. I think the only negatives I kind of have to it is I don't love Smash. I'm not super invested into the Smash community. I know a lot of people have hate for Steve, think Steve's an OP broken champion. Did win with Steve, so, I mean, it is what it is. Massive props off. I mean, the fact that you win from 2,500 to 1 and you won that, like, crowning achievement, I'd wear that badge of honor. Dude looked ecstatic. Trophy was actually surprisingly cool, too.
A stinky badge of honor. Moving on to another stinky game. Just kidding. GTA 6 just got the news that it's been delayed to May 26th of next year. They want to avoid a brutal crunch with their employees, which is not normally something you would hear Take-Two and Rockstar say. But
that's true.
Hey, is this a buy or sell?
I'm selling. To me, it's like I don't necessarily agree with the whole crunch philosophy. It's a hard thing. You're doing a hard task. You're trying to create the literal greatest game ever made. Nothing easy comes easy. It's going to be challenging. It's going to suck. I think they were just going to delay this. I just don't think it was ready to. Like, it's a weird cop-out to be like, our employees, we don't want to be stressful, so we're moving this back. And it's like, I think you were just behind. Like, it should call it like it is. It is also interesting, too, because, like, there's so many games that we're avoiding Q4 now that are now like, oh, dude, we moved our date for nothing. Or, like, we delayed to next year for nothing. So it's kind of sucks. It's weird. And, yeah, I'm not buying it from a that's the truth perspective or from a crunch perspective.
It's a buy. This is a buy because whether they believe it or not, it's good for the employees. Give them more time. Crunch kills devs, okay? It makes them unhappy. It makes them quit. It makes them lose their passion. And like as we talked about earlier with the Expedition 33, you know, we don't want people to be upset or bored or work to death because then they can't come up with things like that. They can't do great things for the office. Good for them for taking that, whether that's really why they did it or not. Hopefully that is why they did it. Easy buy.
Pressure makes diamonds, remember that. The next one we want to hop into is, I don't want to mispronounce this, but I probably am going to. I think it's the Volonaut, the e-bike. Now, we ride e-bikes a lot. We ride electric devices a lot. That is how we commute mostly in our city. This is a hover bike. This is literally a speeder from Star Wars. Like, it is straight up, we're flying over the traffic. You buying or selling this?
You know, I'm gonna buy it. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but like just having a speed bike would be cool. If there is some things that are cool about Star Wars, some of their vehicles definitely are, and a speed bike is definitely one of those. So like being able to fly around on that, or well, not fly is a strong word, hover around on that would be pretty dope. Imagine just rolling up to the Savvy or to a place and just on a hover bike going through there. Boy, the ladies would be turning their head, I tell you what.
That is true. I'm selling this. I'm probably the biggest electric vehicle enthusiast. I hope people like Pat and others buy this. I have eaten it on a skateboard before. I do not want to fall 15 feet out of the air to the pavement and then start to tumble. No chance. I don't like heights. I'd probably puke in the air. Not happening. I'm out.
All right, well, moving on to somebody else who probably wishes they could just puke this all away. Dr. Lupo, exposed for cheating. First denies it, then comes clean. He cheated in chess, the game of intelligence. He couldn't handle it. He could not handle it. Used the cheat engine.
Sure.
26 best moves possible in a row, and he thought that was fine. And he did not receive a ban.
Yeah, that's the weird
Buying
one
or
to
selling
me.
that?
I'm auto.
Buying the fact that he didn't get banned, or
I'm buying that he didn't get banned because Twitch is the worst platform.
okay, there we go.
Like, it's unbelievable that this. You can throw all the shade you want at Kick and Rumble and every other thing for being whatever it is, but like Twitch just picks and chooses so heavily. I mean, even YouTube does this as well, but it's one of those where, like, based on your terms of service, cheated in game, $400,000 tournament for sure breaks terms of services. Like, there's no doubt.
Honda.
But that's not going to help your monetization at the end of the day, so you just let them stay. It's so stupid. It's also, I mean, stupid on his part for making the mistake, stupid on his part for doubling down on the mistake, and then backpedaling. In the beginning, I actually thought he handled it as good as you could handle it, admit it, move on. But then it ended up being worse than it was, which is not good. But yeah, just don't use Twitch. I mean, I want to be on YouTube for a reason. I think they're better than Twitch, and if there's another platform that's better than both of them, we'll go there.
Yeah, mine's buy for the same reason that you were saying, is like Twitch, they're not going to stand on any business that hurts their income. And it's kind of sad because you have a creator who is very liked in the space, known for being a nice guy, and like, you know, it feels like you don't get a lot of those in this generation. So now we have another one that turns out to be a fake and a fraud. I mean, come on. You're going to cheat in a charity tournament for chess? Dude. And then you want to turn around and complain about the cheaters in Tarkov? What a hypocrite, dude.
It's also tough, too, because it devalues the integrity of everything he's done, which is not good. I mean, I'm certain he has done good things, and I'm certain he's made good actions, but it is tough that you ruin that.
Yeah, because now you can question, you can literally question anything now of like...
Charities, all of it.
Yeah, it's like, is any cheating going on here?
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's also
you
tough,
would do
too,
that.
because now it's moments like this that make you almost devalue the doc disrespect situations, just because, like, obviously not a good situation, but it's like they're willing to act there in that hazy situation, but they're not willing to act here in the situation. It just devalues the whole thing, because now you feel like they're just picking favorites, picking people they like, and it's just stupid.
To an extent, but that one involved children, so
it's true.
We'll put that one on a different level.
But moving on to the next one, you've got Faze Kyson over the weekend, I think really over the past couple days. They have spent $30,000 so that they could pull a $1,500 card. They finally succeeded in their goal. Is this cool or not cool? Buying would be cool, not cool would be selling.
It's going to be a sale, but the reasons being is because, one, Pokemon, everybody loves Pokemon, love Pokemon cards, it's all great. The problem is I feel like a lot of these influencers, and especially somebody by the name of Logan Paul, they created this like hype around Pokemon cards, and it's not been good. I don't know if you keep up with any social media, but like anytime like Costco stocks Pokemon cards or anything, it's become a bloodbath for a game of Pokemon. Cute little lovable things that children love, and it's a little bit weird. I'm happy for him in the sense that that's his card. He wanted that card. He's got the funds to spend that much money instead of just buying the card, just pulling it naturally. Great on him, but I think it ruins it a lot for a lot of the other kids and stuff that really do enjoy the cards for what they are.
I'm buying this for a really weird reason. I am a huge proponent of experiences and doing the thing you want to do. To me, in Counter-Strike, a knife you have pulled will always be cooler than a knife you have won or purchased. And for that reason, I value, while I'm certain from a financial decision, spending $30K to get something that's $1,500, not a good call. But he wanted to open the card. He ripped it. He got it. Props to him. I'm buying for that reason. All the other stuff, I agree tremendously. It's a stupid world out there.
Yep, and we're going to keep the stupid world train going. Microsoft, another great company. Everybody loves Microsoft, let me tell you. They've done this great thing called price hikes. It's this new strategy where you take something that was once a dollar amount and you increase it to make more money. So I just want to give a quick rundown of a couple of things. They're increasing everything pretty much, but here's like some of the main things. Of course, game, $70. We just went up to $70. We're going to 80. Sounds like Nintendo over here. Series X, up $100, $499, $599. Series S, the not the terabyte version, up to $379. The terabyte version is up to $429. The Xbox Special Edition 2 terabyte Galaxy was $599, is now $729. Dude, I remember when the PS3 cost like $600 and it was like outrage. Terrible. What's going on? Obviously, buy or sell, price hikes, Mr. Businessman.
We're selling this effective immediately. I think it's interesting because when you look at the history of the consoles, pretty much every console, it releases at a price like that $600 PlayStation. In the end, it was far less than $600. You get better at building the console, you get efficiencies, you get reduction in costs and things like that. You also get market share. That's the wild one, is now with that $729 console, you are more expensive than the PlayStation Proest model, right? Who is currently outselling you at least 3 to 1. At least 3 to 1. So like you are not selling any consoles compared to your competitor. And your solution to not selling any consoles compared to your competitor is to increase the price. You should sell them at a loss. I mean, when you look at things like Apple products, a lot of times Apple does have to sell some of their devices at a loss. And that is because they want you to be in the ecosystem. They want you to experience the thing. And it's like, if you're Xbox, like, dude, I mean, we know they've made some questionable decisions with Windows PCs over the years, and all the Microsoft at scale has made some interesting choices. So it's not surprising, but guys, come on, you're losing. You do not increase prices when you're losing.
Yep, this is easy sell for me, obviously. I'm not a big fan of price hikes. I make fun of Nintendo for their $80 games. It's like, obviously, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. It's stupid that Xbox is doing the same thing. The increase on the consoles is bizarre. I feel like it's always been the strategy of you lose money on the console, you make it back in the microtransactions, in the game sales, in your Game Pass. I mean, this is like the big thing they've been pushing, and it's like, so now we're going to increase the entry to Game Pass. Like, it's just insane. $80 for a video game, and there's a lot of turds, man. It's like, sure, like $80 for Expedition 33, I'm on board. $80 for the new Gears of War, yeah, I'm probably on board.
What about the remaster of the original again for the third time?
But at least that one's confirmed to be 40.
That's good.
But hey, it's also on Game Pass. And it's just one of those things of like, at least you have Game Pass to save you from some of this, but like...
For now.
Yeah, for now.
Because this price hike is probably coming to that.
Yeah, it's funny how they did that, right? They increased Game Pass first. Like, they were like, oh, we're increasing Game Pass. And then like months down the road, it's like, everything rise. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wonder if PlayStation's going to follow suit, or is this going to be another one of their moments with the Xbox One where they take it and they're like, no, we're not increasing our prices. We want the consumer to be happy. They're staying this price.
I hope it's like that game share moment where they come on stage and they're just like, here you go. And I hope tomorrow they just like announce like $50 off all PlayStation or something. That'd be ludicrous.
That would be crazy.
But speaking of ludicrous things, this is the end of our show. We will see you guys next week. Feel free to check out the other shows on the GGN Network. Today in Esports, your home for everything gaming. And then queued up, sometimes there's nerds are right, but most of the time, you know, they're only good when he's on there.
Ain't that right?
Other than that, any farewells and salutations for the crowds?
Yeah, like we just said, Q-Dub's only good when I'm on there. I'll be on there this week, so for the first half of the week. So, yeah, I'll see you guys over there.
Cool. Peace out, everybody. See you soon.